like this. These are nothing but reflectors actually. It's like it keeps on reflecting. And ultimately you get the light into the room. If somebody sees that, it looks like a artificial lamp actually. It's not an artificial, you see this light also. It's not an artificial lamp, but it looks like an artificial lamp. The sun is glowing, it has got 700 watts of energy, but you are switching on this light. That is the worst thing to do. LED lighting, today you got 23 watts of LED lighting, which can give you as much light as 40 watts. So this is the technology of the future. 20 years back we used to talk about CFLs, replacing the GLS lamps, the yellow bulbs that you used to use. But today we are talking about the LED lighting. Renewable energy, I have already spoken about this. Even if you do 5% of your requirement, that's a big service to the nation actually. Rooftops are available. Whatever these rooftops can actually generate, please use that. Harvest rainwater, but don't do it for namesake. So for example, I was in a flat where there is a rainwater harvesting pit. It can take everything other than water. Because you have not created sufficient volumes inside and the percolation rates for the water to really seep inside. So if the municipality comes, he will only tick mark. He'll say, okay, rainwater harvesting implemented, but actually it will never absorb any water. Please don't do that. You do it in all earnestness. That's what I'm saying. Today low water fixtures are there, a lot of technology. The simple aerators which cost you 6 rupees, please install. Because along with the water, it will capture the air also. So you, as you take bath, you don't feel that you feel you have got sufficient water, though it is mixed up with the air also. And it's good to take air in any case. On-site STP, extremely important, as I said earlier. Treat your own wastewater, use it inside. Today this is a phytoremediation which we have installed on our own building. Actually this looks like a landscaping. It is not a landscaping. Actually it is treating wastewater. It takes these are certain species of plants which take your wastewater. Your nutrients in the wastewater becomes food to these plants, and it creates a beautiful scenic beauty here. And the water that comes out, if you measure the BOD and COD, it will be something less than 20 actually. That's what the Pollution Control Board also requires. It requires less than 20 actually. You can actually drink that water. But our mental block doesn't allow that to do that. Why don't you use it for other secondary applications? Organic waste management, simple techniques like this, where you got earthenware pots. Put all your kitchen waste into this. This will cost you only 2,000 rupees. Put all your kitchen waste, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, you will get fertilizer. Even if you don't want to use that fertilizer, you throw it on the road. It is good. You're doing something, you're enriching the soil, as I said earlier. Because the soil fertility, please remember, it takes 400 years for the soil to get that fertility. So you can't simply take the topsoil and throw it somewhere. Actually that soil is extremely rich in its nutrients, in its fertility. Low UVC paints, where you paint your house, and mostly whenever the house is painted, you can't go there for the first 4 or 5 days. Many of us have observed this, right? But these paints you can occupy on the second day. I have painted my own house with this. Very second day we occupied, none of us got into any respiratory problems actually. So please use these kind of paints, so that especially children whose lungs are cleaner, whose heart is cleaner, you don't really pollute them actually. So I think I can go on like this. There are at least 50, 60 concepts. Many of these concepts have been implemented in this project. It's a wonderful project. I have only shown you only top 12 features just to give you a taste actually. But actually if you go, there are many more. I think you should invite people on a tour actually to your building, sir. So this is very inspiring for me. I have taken from a book called Natural Capitalism, which says that at the end of the day, green building, as you enter the building, you should create delight. And as you stay in the building, it should give you peace, happiness, serenity. And as you leave the building, you should go with a sense of regret. That is what green building is all about. So I think today, as realtors, you should know that there are customers today in other countries who are prepared to pay a premium to be occupying a green building. I think we want to bring this country into that state. That is the vision of the council actually. Because people should say, you show me a green building, I want to be in such kind of a building. I don't want to be in a building which doesn't have daylighting, which doesn't have ventilation, etc. So I think at the end of the day, I think you are showing your deep reverence to nature. That's all. So in your own manner, you are showing your reverence and doing something good for the Mother Earth. So I'll leave at this, and thank you all for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Srinivas. A few things which come out of his speech. He has now given the various points. All you have got to do is put tick mark. Mr. Vijay Sai will now come and simply put tick mark on all the points he has raised and what we have done in Green Grace. And I would request all of you now to add one more question to all the questions you must be asking when you go seeing buildings. Please add this question. How green is your building? Please add that question to the repertoire of questions which you will be asking the various people. How green is your building? You come to our building, we'll show you how green it is. Invite all of you, we take the opportunity, like Mr. Srinivas said, to come and visit Green Grace and have a taste of it, of the greenness of a building. Our next speaker is Mr. Vijay Sai, our Managing Director of SNS Green Projects. Mr. Vijay Sai is an engineer with over 18 years experience in construction and real estate. He's a pioneer in implementing green building initiatives. As Mr. Srinivas already pointed out, that he was one of the earliest adopter of the green initiatives of IGBC. And he's also associated with the Indian Green Building Council. He is also the present Secretary General of the Telangana Real Estate Developers Association, TREDA. And he's also actively involved in an NGO called BREAD, working in the improvement of school education in government schools. I now invite Mr. Vijay Sai.
Uniform Plumbing Code. So you can't get away in this green building concept when you should do what you say and you say what you do, because everything is measurable. Otherwise, sorry, I wish there are no architects in this room. My own daughter is an architect. Architects could get away by doing an extremely water efficient building and you call it as a green building. Or you do a building which has addressed materials in a great way and you have neglected all these things and you call it as a green building. Like you go to an examination, you can't get 100 in mathematics, fail in English and you say, I have done extremely well. You can't do that. You have to pass in all the 5 subjects first. Right? So here it is, you can't talk in the air. You have to talk, you have to, whatever you talk, it has to be converted into numbers. Intangible benefits, daylight and use, that is one of the beautiful concept that has come. And there are a lot of research papers which tells you how health and productive has also improved in these buildings. People living in these buildings are found to be more productive and healthy also. More is important, these buildings have got at least some 25 to 30 standards that they follow. They are some of the world-class standards. They follow these standards actually. So varieties of buildings are coming in the country, whether it's residential or IT parks or hotels, schools, factories, etc. But ultimately, if you see, you are only worshipping nature here. See, for example, we call it as a sustainable sites. It's today's terminology, but actually you are worshipping the earth there. Water, any ritual that you perform, you first worship water actually. That is the great reverence that you give to water. Energy has Agni, air as the Vayu, and sky as the Akash. For example, these buildings are not supposed to pollute the night sky. Otherwise, you won't see the nocturnal habit like owls and other creatures on the earth. You can't even see the stars actually if you have got upward-looking lights actually. It says don't have upward-looking lights. In fact, today's paper talks about sparrows actually. Now, when we were young, sparrows used to enter the house and pick up some rice, etc. But today you don't see sparrows actually. They are dwindling. So all these standards are done with these. So I'll quickly go through 12 top green building concepts. Provide walking space. When you talk to a cardiologist, the heart is not like other organs. It is nothing but a muscle actually. The only exercise to strengthen your heart is walking, full stop, period. There is nothing else actually. So please provide walking spaces whenever you go for these things so that people can walk. And walking in using a treadmill and all, I think it doesn't give you so much of pleasure as you walk in a space like this actually. Toddlers for children, I think unfortunately it is a dwindling kind of a feature actually. As children, we used to play on the roads, we used to have big playgrounds, etc. But today's children are being deprived of this. They don't have places to play. Please provide places to play. That's what we are asking for in these kind of green buildings actually. Harness daylight. Many a time, many architects, they want more storage space inside. So they forget this and they fail to give as much openings as possible so that you bring in daylight. Because working in daylight is a big pleasure by itself. You can't be in for example, a room like this for all the 8 hours of your working, unless you are listening to some presentation for half an hour or 1 hour. Better walls, go for fly ash blocks. Fly ash blocks is extremely good in terms of its thermal conductivity. To give you an idea, the normal brick thermal conductivity is something like 1.95 watts per meter square degree Kelvin. But these fly ash blocks can be something like 0.67. Now that means if you have installed these blocks, that means I have 60% of my heat getting into the building is already taken care. It doesn't enter the building. You can even have these kind of concepts where you have got a rat trap filled with insulation materials like glass wool, or you can even leave it with as it is, because air is also a good insulator. This I did it for my own house actually. Both the southern side and the western side are insulated with rat trap bonds, and these spaces I have filled with glass wool actually. So if I switch on the air conditioner in my room today, I am sure it will consume 40% lesser than my neighbor actually. So there are a lot of materials. It doesn't say what material you use. It only says what is your R value or the U value actually. So these are comparisons. I will not go into the details of these technicals. Address heat island impacts actually, because the more concrete surfaces that you have, the more you are increasing the local temperature there, what we call as a microclimate. Architects would like to call it as a microclimate. And this concrete it loves heat actually. It absorbs heat. It has got a great affinity to heat. So therefore, even if you don't want to provide shade, if you have provided shade through trees, you are doing a great service. So please plant trees. Install sun pipes to places etc. Where you can't really have access to the daylighting actually. So today there are pipes like this. These are nothing but reflectors actually. It's like it keeps on reflecting. And ultimately you get the light into the room. If somebody sees that, it looks like a artificial lamp actually. It's not an artificial, you see this light also. It's not an artificial lamp, but it looks like an artificial lamp. The sun is glowing, it has got 700 watts of energy, but you are switching on this light. That is the worst thing to do. LED lighting, today you got 23 watts of LED lighting, which can give you as much light as 40 watts. So this is the technology of the future. 20 years back we used to talk about CFLs, replacing the GLS lamps, the yellow bulbs that you used to use. But today we are talking about the LED lighting. Renewable energy, I have already spoken about this. Even if you do 5% of your requirement, that's a big service to the nation actually. Rooftops are available. Whatever these rooftops can actually generate, please use that. Harvest rainwater, but don't do it for namesake. So for example, I was in a flat where there is a rainwater harvesting pit. It can take everything other than water. Because you are not created sufficient volumes inside and the percolation rates for the water to really seep inside. So if the municipality comes, he will only tick mark. He'll say, okay, rainwater harvesting implemented, but actually it will never absorb any water. Please don't do that. You do it in all earnestness. That's what I'm saying. Today, low water fixtures are there. A lot of technology. The simple aerators which cost you 6 rupees, please install. Because along with the water, it will capture the air also. So as you take bath, you don't feel that you feel you have got sufficient water, though it is mixed up with the air also. And it's good to take air in any case. On-site STP, extremely important.